thing I like to add is that this is some speculation of something that could happen. This is already happening. This chart that I've had up here for a minute is the US dollar against Bitcoin in logarithmic terms, again, because you can only think about technology in logarithmic terms. What we see here are clear lower lows and lower highs of the US dollar against Bitcoin for over a decade. This is nothing new. It's not just started. It's only getting faster. And it's not just the US dollar, it's also assets, again, talking about diversification. Political currency units, again, the dollar, have been trending to zero against Bitcoin for over a decade. Rent and housing has been going down. And this is one of the things, again, you'll go back to one of my favorites, Jeff Booth. We think deflation's bad. We think prices going down is bad. When in reality, it's good. It's good when rent goes down. It's good when food prices go down because prosperity is becoming more affordable. For the first time since we have a fixed immutable ledger, we can have the productivity gains of society flow back into the global monetary stock instead of being debased, inflated away in a breaking of physics and corruption of the ledger. So this is a good thing. This being one of those main examples that rent and housing is continuing to go down. And so likewise, Tesla stock has had a great decade, but it's still down against Bitcoin because it's a more open system. Gold's going down and stock indices are going down. It doesn't matter if you're the NASDAQ or Dow or S&P 500, your mutual funds, whatever. And probably one, I say in the slide here that they're going to zero. I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably should have said they're trending towards zero. In the same way that oxygen never quite hits zero against Mona Lisa, so these things will probably never quite hit zero, but they'll continue to have 80, 90% declines, continually forever. It doesn't matter what you own. This is one of my favorite charts to get the point across.
Before you go to this last one, I think it's really important for people to know that it's not like you're saying that the value of Apple or Google or any of these companies is zero. You're just saying that in a world that has been conditioned to think that dollars and euros and yen are valuable, and that they're this valuation in today's terms, when you move to this exponential, event where things are going to be valued in this monetary energy, the valuation is way different to what you think the value of, call it, one Bitcoin is today. And it's so drastic that it makes it look like it's trending to zero, but it'll never get there for a lot of equities that continue to produce tangible value to society and have products and services that people actually want to use, right? Like, that's not going away. It's just it's a little hard for people to wrap their head around if they haven't put a lot of deep thought into what some of that actually means. But go back to your slide there. I want you to show that last one for people to see.
This is, for those that don't know, Hal Finney was one of the first Bitcoin. Well, he was literally the first besides Satoshi. And back in 2009, 2 years before Bitcoin hit $1. Okay, so this is not just before Bitcoin's $1. It's 2 years before it's $1. Hal Finney basically had this thought experiment, and he basically predicted exactly what this chart here shows you. Total global wealth in terms of Bitcoin declining exponentially towards zero forever in relative terms to Bitcoin. That's basically what Hal Finney predicted. He said, if this happens, Bitcoin will get to $10 million, blah, blah, blah. It's more like 40 million adjusted for inflation, and it'll probably be 400 million in a decade or so. And that price adjustment just continues up forever. But the more important point, as you said here, is that relative wealth in terms of Bitcoin just declines forever. And so basically what we're looking at here is a likely future where, as technology makes everything more abundant, as we have an infinite amount of debt, an infinite amount of prosperity, and everything just trends towards infinity, the only finite system in humankind, its value will trend towards infinity. And often people say, well, what if you could just make another Bitcoin? And it's like, well, that's a whole nother conversation, but you can't. It's a system designed to prevent replications of itself in the same way that the Mona Lisa is a piece of art that's designed to be unique in its design. If you copy the Mona Lisa, you only make a lesser version of the Mona Lisa. In the same way, with Bitcoin, you only make a lesser version. So I guess for the average person wondering, okay, what does this mean for me? Should I buy? What should I buy, or whatever? Basically, my view would be that if we invert this, instead of thinking of everything else declining in relative value against Bitcoin, if we inverse it and realize that Hal Finney was right all the way back in 2009, what we've seen with Bitcoin is its consumption of everything else. It went from 0 cents for years up to 6 cents. It skyrocketed at $30, crashed 90% to $2, and skyrocketed and crashed and skyrocketed and crashed. And right now we're in a period where Bitcoin's price denominated in political currency units happens to be down again, in large cause because the value of those political currency units has been inflected upwards as the minister of those currency. Jerome Powell's made them more valuable. But basically, what are we looking at here? Well, I would strongly argue that what we're looking at here is a continued expansion. If you have an interest in taking self-custody, if you have an interest in setting up a multi-sig solution and collaborative custody partnership, I do work at the Bitcoin Advisor precisely for this purpose, because I think it is the future. You can find me in the link in the description below at the Bitcoin Advisor, where our primary goal is to help you securely transition your Bitcoin off exchanges into your own hands and into your own self-sovereignty. It's really important that you begin considering what happens to you in the event that you lose your seed phrases, what happens to you in the event that you pass on. Will your children, your loved ones, your company, your spouse, whomever your descendants are, what happens to them if your keys have issues or have troubles and have maintenance? So if you want someone to help you through that process, one-on-one, to create a multi-sig vault, to help you create an estate plan, to be an ongoing collaborative custody partner, and help reassure you in the face of all these products and all these innovations happening to Bitcoin atop the base layer, if you want to have someone assist you in the coming years and hopefully coming decades, Bitcoin Advisor could be a good place for you to consider. If you go to the link in the description, you can learn more about me and why I'm personally there as well. And I will send you dozens of pages of free documents, both about our company specifically at the Bitcoin Advisor and multi-sig and collateral custody in general. Purely educational content for you to learn about. Dozens of pages with great content, great perspectives, ideas, and thought-provoking perspectives for you to consider in the coming months and years as you take more and more of your Bitcoin into self-custody. So not only, again, do you get information about collaborative and multi-sig custody in general, and you also get information about the Bitcoin Advisor specifically. Also, I'm happy to send you, or you'll find a link below, a comparison of what Bitcoin Advisor does compared to our competition, what we provide, and our goal is to provide 10 times the value for half the cost. So if you have an interest in multi-sig, I strongly encourage you to consider it now. More and more companies are only going to have the option of multi-sig. See, a company or a charity or a church cannot pursue the option of a single sig solution. They have to pursue multi-sig solutions. So as an individual, as a company, or as a board of a charity or church, whatever the case, if you're interested in a multi-sig solution for the long term, for cold storage, I highly encourage you to start doing so now. Whether that's with me at the Bitcoin Advisor or elsewhere, I strongly encourage you to do it, because that rehypothecation will continue, Bitcoin's rapid price appreciation will continue, and in those events, demand will skyrocket for these precise kinds of services and for time with people that are experts in this field. So again, once more, please check out the link in the description for the Bitcoin Advisor, where you can find me. You can schedule a meeting with me. You can book a free consultation with me there. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Again, happy to send you dozens of pages of free complimentary information for you to learn more about your Bitcoin and learn more about your Bitcoin self-custody solutions. Because again, whether you work with me or not, it's far more important. Please just consider taking self-custody as soon as possible. Link in the description. Thanks. Of Bitcoin in the future, it'll continue its massive skyrocketing trend. It'll alternate between skyrocketing dramatically and crashing dramatically upwards forever. And it's going to be really hard to time. It's just, I would just encourage the average person to get off zero, because if we think of this, again, from a physics perspective, and perhaps you have a closing comment on this, I think of Bitcoin as a monetary black hole of the human race. For the entirety of humanity, we have been dealing with planets, and we store wealth in planets and asteroids and stars and, all these things. And, you throw energy at one, you throw an asteroid at a planet, you destroy the planet and everything like that. And that's why currencies fail. You have an opposing nation apply brute force physical costs in the form of military or economic sanctions, and you try to destroy it. And so we've had this system of these sinking ships and these floating planets. And for the first time ever, we have designed something that is basically a singularity. And we look at it and we don't understand it because it doesn't behave like a planet. It's just this tiny little thing that nobody can see. It's this abstract concept. It doesn't make any sense to us. It's this little dark orb. And we look at it and we think, oh, whatever, that's just a bubble. It's just this thing that doesn't make any sense to me. Nobody understands it. Okay. But the problem that I would challenge the average person listening to is this: is what if that thing actually is a threat? What to you? What if Bitcoin is not a get-rich-quick scheme or an opportunity? What if Bitcoin is not a symptom of the increasing speculation of an increasingly corrupted ledger and the symptoms of that? What if Bitcoin is actually the solution, and it's doing exactly the opposite of what you would expect the world's lowest risk asset to do? And that's what I would argue. As absurd as that might sound, and perhaps even you disagree with me, but I would argue that Bitcoin's already the lowest risk asset on planet Earth. Because if we assume the future world is coming, and we hope that's coming, the only low risk asset in that world is having a share of the global monetary stock. Mm-hmm. Why would you own a security in a company with cash flows? You have a CEO and scandals and cash flow market. Why would you own planets in a universe where there's a black hole that's expanding infinitely forever. It's like you can try to censor it, you can try to destroy it. China's tried to censor Bitcoin, and every time they censor it, they only make the network stronger. And that's why they've given up on censoring it. No matter how much mass you throw at the black hole, no matter how much attention or negativity you throw at Bitcoin, it just absorbs it and grows greater and greater in a volatile fashion. And so I genuinely believe that Bitcoin's going to absorb all monetary premium of assets and eventually become the global means of storing value for the human race. And this is a good thing. And I believe it's going to save millions of lives and be
it's going to bring in global cooperation. It's going to usher in an age of global cooperation. I completely agree with you, especially at this point in the timeline. Maybe if it was 30 years from now, there may be equity that could outperform or outpace what remains as far as what more monetary energy is going to be pumped into it. But where we're at right now, I'm with you 100%, Luke. Really appreciate your time coming on and all the slides that you put together. That if people were listening to this on audio, I'd highly encourage you to go back and see some of Luke's slides, because he put up some awesome charts for you to contemplate and look at. Luke, give people a handoff if they want to learn more about you, where they can find you, and anything else that you want to highlight.
Thanks. Yes, I love giving visual presentations for people to try to turn this abstract idea of energy and monetary and close into something that they can understand without getting too technical or putting in the jargon. I like to bridge the gap for people. And so anyway, there's a lot more slides we didn't get to, and maybe next time we'll have to do this again and share. But yeah, I'm on Twitter, Luke Broyles. You can follow me there, and I'm sure I'm going to be doing a lot of cool things there in the future. So you can go there, and ultimately, even more important than following me is just continuing to learn about Bitcoin and getting off zero as soon as you can, as soon as you feel comfortable.
Luke, thank you so much. We'll have links to that in the show notes so people can just click on that and find you real fast. And thank you so much for making time tonight.